What if I were to tell you that the fact that you're not sleeping has absolutely nothing to do with sleep? In fact, it is scientifically impossible to lose the ability to sleep. And you're probably watching this thinking, well, there's fatal insomnia. Yes, but only 9 cases in the history of humanity have ever been recorded. And the chances of that ever happening to any of us is truly close to zero. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how your issue with sleep, whether it's staying asleep or falling asleep, has absolutely nothing to do with sleep at all. And also what it is instead that is keeping you awake and what you can do about it. Before we get into it, my name is Fiona. I'm a recovered chronic insomniac turned holistic sleep coach. And when I first started struggling with my sleep, I did everything I could in order to fix it. So if you are in that situation in which you have struggled with sleep, either in the past or you're struggling now and you're doing all of the things and you're like, I just wish I could sleep. I need to be able to fix this. Just know that you're not alone. And also, it is not your fault that you actually think this way. We live in a world where we are told certain things about sleep that are mostly untrue. We are uneducated about how sleep actually happens, and we're also very uneducated about insomnia and how insomnia happens. So the fact that you're in this situation isn't your fault. It is just that you have been given the wrong information, which is why I create all of these videos to help you, or previous version of me who is struggling with insomnia and currently feels very lost, alone, and confused, because ultimately it is not your fault. It is just the fact that you have not been given the proper tools and resources in order to fully understand why you're struggling with this to begin with. And in order for us to understand why insomnia has absolutely nothing to do with sleep, we need to break down what insomnia is. And I want to do this by starting at the very beginning of how we all start struggling with insomnia, which is with one bad night. We all go through this first bad night. This could be due to a stressful event, maybe a change in our life, maybe jet lag, travel, you've had a new baby. Whatever it is, your sleep was disrupted. And the difference between this night to any other night in which you have had a bad night in the past is that this night became 2, 3 more, and it ultimately created a narrative that you were no longer able to fall asleep. What actually happens when this situation takes place is that we react negatively to the fact that we have not slept. And that is human nature. It is to be expected. We live in a world where we are continuously told that sleep needs to look a specific way, that something bad is going to happen if we do not sleep. So naturally, our response to not sleeping is going to be one of, oh my goodness, something wrong is happening. I need to fix this. But when our nervous system, which is the part inside of our biology that is ultimately responsible for keeping us safe, identifies that there is something to worry about or something to avoid, which is wakefulness, it actually does the complete opposite, or we're in the complete opposite state that we want to be in order for us to sleep. And that is because we start tapping into our fight and flight response system. This is where our nervous system and our body is getting more agitated by the fact that something that is unwanted is close by, which is not sleeping. And this is where our body, in a very smart way, actually deploys cortisol and adrenaline in order for us to not sleep. And of course, over the course of time, we keep trying to make sleep happen, which is actually not how sleep works. And that actually backfires. The more we're trying to make sleep happen, the more awake our nervous system is making us. And then, of course, the more negatively we keep reacting to the fact that we're not sleeping. So the fact that you're experiencing all of this proves that insomnia has absolutely nothing to do with sleep. Sleep is still there. The sleepiness is still there. But what is happening with insomnia is that something is getting in the way of that from happening. And that is what I like to call, or we all like to call, fear, right? Our nervous system is activated because we are fearful about what is going to happen if we do not sleep. And I want to start by also saying that this has absolutely nothing to do with logic. When we are dealing with fear and threats to our nervous system is not logical. It cannot speak in English or whatever language you may be speaking. It speaks in the language of threats, and it speaks in the language of sensations. If we react badly to something, our nervous system automatically hangs on to that thing, and we're like, right, I'm going to hang on to this and I'm going to protect my human from experiencing this because we have identified that this is something that we need to avoid. And then you can be saying, like, well, this is illogical. Like, nothing's actually going to happen to me at night, or experiencing a bit of wakefulness. But this is where your nervous system doesn't actually know it. So, fear is ultimately what insomnia is. And it gets in the way of us being able to sleep, because when fear exists, again, cortisol and adrenaline are deployed into our bloodstream, we are made more awake. Some clients also say to me, or so many people actually say, like, oh, I just never feel sleepy, right? And that also feels like a cause for concern. And that's also where I'd like to say that it has absolutely nothing to do with like the sleepiness not being there. The sleepiness is there, which is ultimately dictated by your circadian rhythm and also the release of melatonin into your bloodstream at around the time of bedtime. That's the sleepiness hormone, that, or the hormone, sorry, that makes you feel sleepy. It exists, but it is currently being masked by something stronger. When we're talking about hormones and specifically stress in our body, cortisol and adrenaline increase. They make us feel more awake. So yes, the sleepiness is there, but it's currently being overridden, right? And then the problem with thinking that we have a sleep problem is that we keep deploying certain things in order for us to control our sleep. We take melatonin, sleep medication, maybe even anti-anxiety medication. We take all of these external things that ultimately try and make sleep happen, when in reality, what is getting in the way of sleep happening is not the fact that you can't sleep, it's fear. And the more that you actually think that you have a sleep problem, the more we misunderstand the problem, and we're actually feeding into this paradoxical problem, which is what insomnia actually feeds off. It's a desire to make sleep happen, and the more we try and chase it, which is also completely futile, the less likely it is to happen, and the more broken we think that we are. And in knowing this and in learning this, this is actually a good thing. It may feel scary because you're like, okay, well, what am I actually supposed to do about the fear, which we will get to. But in knowing that you do not have a sleep problem also now means that you no longer need to chase that thing. The more you understand insomnia, the more you understand the nervous system, how sleep works, how insomnia gets in the way of us actually sleeping, the easier it also gets. We also start creating or taking back more of our sense of freedom, because we no longer have to live our life based on the fact that we need to protect sleep, because sleep was never something that needed to be protected. So if you're currently in a situation where you are confused about why you're not sleeping, and you want a deeper explanation as to why that is, and how you can start breaking the cycle, then I invite you to check out my 30 minutes free masterclass linked below, where I break down what insomnia is, what you can actually do about it, and also how you can start taking recovery into your own hands and start feeling better truly starting today. And if you have absolutely any questions, any comments, concerns, or anything you'd like me to cover in a future video, then please go ahead and drop that in the comment section below, and I promise to get back to you.